I'm Pom, mother of 4 girls, aged 14 and a half, 11 and a half, 8 and a half, and 3. After a school year experience, we met the Les Enfants d'Abord organization and fell in love with these 3 kids we met. Our first daughter led us to unschooling. She didn't want to know anything that resembled orders, so after too many frustrated attempts, we decided to trust her and let her lead her instruction. The big issue with this choice was to unschool ourselves after many years of school conditioning, and we're doing as best as possible considering our own lived experiences. We chose to declare ourselves to the National Education Department. Some people choose to hide from the state and to be subjected to regulations. We said we didn't want our girls to be tested, but didn't feel strong enough to firmly oppose their well-disguised and nicely presented tests like reading or counting. And then the law says it's the teaching that should be verified, not the kids' knowledge. From the beginning, we refused the national curriculum tests with success. And then 2 years ago, we took the risk of being prosecuted by refusing any tests as well, asking for trust. They cancelled this assessment. Last year, after the last guideline came out, the inspector in charge seemed to accept the way we had been proposing our regulation. But 8 months later, we discovered we had written a negative report and was asking for a second assessment to take place. This last January, we got a letter from the academy. The inspector wasn't accepting things he had agreed with years before, such as reading at 8 or 9. Our third daughter couldn't read at 7 and a half, and still can't a year later. Our second daughter at 10 didn't seem to fit the French curriculum level. When I related once more our first daughter's experience to him, he didn't want to hear about it, despite it is a success story. This is her story. She is now 14 and a half. At 12, she discovered she could go to high school to follow a circus curriculum and sit for the baccalaureate in the same time. To enter this school, a boarding school at about 500 kilometers from home, she needed to have a state school report from the previous 2 years. We managed to get her enrolled in the state correspondence courses for free with the academic director's help. These last 2 school years, she's been studying the French curriculum after 12 years of unschooling. It took her about 6 months to get the school codes and specific language and feel confident with the courses. And she's doing so well, it's just amazing. Her school mark averages 17 out of 20. But the inspector didn't want to know or validate this experience as a trustworthy one, just as he didn't want to listen about other experiences. Still, it was an issue with the letter the L'aide à Les Enfants d'Abord legal service wrote for us to the National Education Department to let them know the second assessment they wanted to do for the younger girls was illegal. It's illegal because the school year has changed and they didn't respect the law by asking a second assessment the following year. It starts all over each school year. 2 months later, because we hadn't any news, I emailed last week to ask what was their intention and to let them know I seriously wanted to discuss how the next assessment will be carried out. As we say in French, the ball is in their court. But we're willing to defend our right to home educate the way we feel is good for our daughters, as other families do here and there in France. We're fed up with this lack of confidence when years after years they could verify we really were concerned with our daughters' education by the reports we wrote on the assessments they made. We don't want to be subjected to their suspicion anymore, and as we are confident, unschooling works when parents commit themselves.